just like to apologize for my my late entry. However, I can't do anything about traffic.
That's right.
I tell ya. So, okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Financial Planning and Supervision Commission for the City of Norwood. I will call the roll. Mayor Schneider.
Present.
Council President Miracle said he will not be here. Mr. Schwartz is not here. Mr. Shepherd is not here. Ms. Longenecker.
Present.
Mr. Jarvis.
Present.
Ms. Hanrahan here. All right, we do have a quorum. Now, I am not sure about who's present. I suspect we probably do have a quorum. We do. We do have a quorum to approve the minutes of the meeting on June 10th. I give you an opportunity to read through them, and then I would take any amendments if needed. Any amendments? Okay, seeing none, I would look for a motion to approve.
So move.
Mr. Jarvis moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Longenecker seconds. Call the roll. Mayor Schneider.
Yes.
Ms. Longenecker.
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis.
Yes.
Ms. Hanrahan. Yes. Okay, the June 27th meeting. We do have a quorum present today to approve those minutes. I'd give you an opportunity. This is one of the special meetings that we had for, let's see, this was the debt. Do I have any amendments? Okay, seeing none, I would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Mayor moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Jarvis seconds. Okay, I will call the roll. Mayor Schneider.
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis.
Yes.
Ms. Longenecker.
Yes.
Ms. Hanrahan. Yes. Okay, and I see we do have the minutes. Was it August 22nd or 23rd?
I think it is the 23rd.
Okay, well, I'll just amend I don't know if Kim's talk, the minutes to reflect it was the 23rd. Give you a chance to look it over, and I would take any amendments. Do I have any amendments?
I question on the second paragraph under new business, it says, Ms. Hanrahan made mention that a resolution had been presented. It said Ms. Hanrahan requested a motion. Mr. Shepherd made a motion and Ms. Long, but it doesn't state, should it state that there was a motion made to approve? Or is that self-explanatory because of the way it's written?
I think we could add that. It would not hurt to clarify that, I believe.
That's fine. Agreed.
Okay.
Mr. Shepherd made a motion to approve.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other amendments? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Ms. Longenecker moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Jarvis seconds. I will call the roll. Ms. Longenecker?
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis?
Yes.
Mayor Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Hanrahan, yes. Okay. All right, we are down to business. Report of the financial supervisor.
In front of you is the normal three attachments, A, B, and C. We'll start with A, which is the statement of cash position. We're presenting information through July of this year. We did receive August, but not in time for preparations or review. As you can see on the first page, we do have positive balances in the general street and state highway funds, which are in the recovery plan. If you would look through the rest of this report, under the unexpended balances, there are no negatives at this time. There are a few after encumbrances, but that just means the money's not in there yet. It's really the unexpended balances that we're really concentrating on right now. So on that, the funds are looking good and no negatives. Any questions on the fund balances? Attachment B, which is the revenues. Again, this is through July. We're looking at a target of 58% or more. It has the three funds that are within the recovery plan and where they stand with their actual receipts versus the financial recovery plan. I will hit on a couple of things. If you have questions, let me know. Property taxes, this only shows their first half. Second half was actually received in August. I will say, even with the second half, it is below target. I do know that the city auditor's office is to be reaching out to the county, and I actually had a conversation with Mr. Jarvis this morning about this as well. It's close to projections in August, but not quite there. So I'm just looking to see why we didn't hit that. Municipal income tax, if you take the two lines together, they're at 62.5% overall, which is above target. This is one we're watching continuously after the changes with the governor's movement where, you work at home, you still paid into the city you were at. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Hotel tax, that's actually received 3/4 worth, and they only have one more quarter, so if you look at it that way, they're a little over the 75% of 3/4, so they're looking good. Investment income, they are just moving, with the cash flow, you have to watch the movement of monies between Star Ohio and then your checking account to make sure that you have enough monies to pay your bills and the timing of that such. They are just able to, they're moving more monies over more frequently this year than they were last year. And that actually affects all three of these funds because it's a percentage base of interest to only these three funds on the financials. And then other is a little low right now. They haven't made a movement with the Paycor incentive monies based on the income tax incentive agreement that they have. That should be coming before the end of the year. Overall, the general fund is above target at this time at 59%. And then the two others are close to target with the increase in the interest revenues, and the intergovernmental has been increasing in the second half versus the first half. And there's a 6-month cycle with that too. Any questions on the revenues?
No, you answered mine. I was going to question the property tax, so.
Okay. The last one is C. This is the expenditures. Again, we're looking at things being at target or actually below. So anything that is over the 58.33% at the end of July, we have marked as exceeds. Before I get into this, I will say that the city is still dealing with some movement of monies between departments due to some payroll issues and moving from internal to outsourcing it. So there is still some movement that needs to be done with the city and their outside agency. I will be pointing those out, but I just wanted to give you an overall because I'm going to say it a lot in several of these. And because that's making some to be over and it's making some being under. So it should be a movement and a wash once we get those correct. Well, once the city auditor's office gets them corrected. City council is showing over at this time. Again, that is a payroll issue that's being worked on to be fixed. The mayor's department is also a payroll issue and looking to make those fixes. I am going to point out the law director's office, even though it's low and below percentage, this was negotiation year, and the estimates for the outside legal projected did not match what they had to pay out. So that was actually lower than expected, so that's good.
So the city did better.
Huh?
City did better. We controlled that cost.
Excellent.
Page 2, the one I want to talk about is the safety service directors. That's a separation pay and payroll thing, so you're going to get a big dump of separation in the first part. That's also one we're watching and looking at. Page 3, transportation is exceeding. This is really where they pay their fuel. There is a correction of an error in there that we're still discussing with the city auditor's office. And then also prices through the year have, where they've been, if you had to go anywhere in your vehicle. So there were months that were extremely high. It has come down, so we're watching that as well. Police crime control, they actually made their buyback payments on leaves. That is a one-time payment out, so that kind of puts things off on the targets because of that, because that's a decent amount of payment out. Page 4, the fire department is the same way as the police. They also had the buyback leave payments out there, a one-time deal, which is also putting it over target at this time. EMS is actually an ambulance lease payment that has already been paid in full for the year, which is making this look over our target right now. Superintendent of Public Works is really not this bad, I promise. This one, almost all, there's a huge problem, issue, I'll say, with where the street parks and other employees are being paid out of. And a lot of it is here. So we're also going to talk about these other departments that are low because a lot of them are in this wrong department here. So the city auditor's office is working through that, and we should see that corrected by the next time we meet, or actually next time I monitor the reports in the next month. So then there you go again. Street sections right below it. That's the opposite side of the world. We don't have some of the employees that should be in there. City garage department is the same thing. Page 5. I'm going to skip to parks and lands and building, or parks and playgrounds. They also have the employees, they'll be moving more employees in here, their costs. Okay, I'm going up to public land and buildings. They are not over target, but they are below. One of the biggest reasons is the capital projects and things that we're looked to do. And talking with the safety service director yesterday, there are several vehicles planned to be purchased here. A couple of them are electric. You can't even buy electric right now. And then buying cars in general or vehicles is
Very difficult.
very difficult right now. So, and then some other projects haven't been able to be started or in the mix yet. I'll mention the health department, even though it's low on that same page. There's been some open positions here throughout the year, so it's more of a timing issues with them and having open. The page 6 of 7 for the general fund, we've talked about this one, the retiree benefits program. They've actually made the entire payment for the year. They did that early in the year, so that's really should show it's 100% paid and done. So it's just over target because we're in July. Let me just go ahead and go to the last page. The street and state highway, they are definitely below. I know they're working on some projects. If you look, there's some encumbrances on the first attachment. There's some other projects that they're bringing to the table, I think, here soon, that after talking to the safety service director yesterday, that they're trying to get into the works before the end of the year. Is there any questions or concerns you had that I didn't address? Then that would be all I have for the financials portion.
Thank you.
I mean, I think, like your other report, the questions I had you answered. I had looked at the public works and thought, well, maybe somebody retired and it was a bunch of leave or stuff, so, okay. Well, if there are questions, I don't want to rush people, but please, if you have them or it hits you later on, please let me know and we can address those. I do not have any new business. Mayor, do you?
No, I don't have any
No, okay.
special new business. no.
Okay. Old business, the progress on the bank reconciliation.
I have a full staff here today. We're working
Okay.
through May, June, and hopefully July
Okay.
of 2022. Actually, we're also going to be working on adjustments from 21, hopefully today as well, within their system, after some review and looking up reconciling items by the city auditor's office. So we continue to move forward on both sets, and then hopefully before the end of the month, we can be through August is the plan. So then we
Great.
would be before they close out September
Okay.
with the reconciliation, so.
Do you anticipate being able to balance to the penny, or do you think at some point there are just going to be items that you cannot
There's an
reconcile?
unreconciled balance,
Okay.
but we've been able to carry that through.
Okay.
Yeah, we've
throughout
been able
the
to
rest of it.
identify everything from the point we started, which was January of '21.
Okay.
So if there's an unidentified, it's a couple cents or something.
Oh, okay.
So it's-
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good.
Great.
And then we hope to be able to get them to reconcile on their system after the corrections are made. And that should allow for that to happen.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Next item I had down was a report on accounting methods, and I think we've got, well, probably two of the same copy and one, I don't know if this might be,
One is
Maybe
our
the
copy,
cities?
and then one is the, from the mayor and the city. So I can go quickly a little bit over ours.
the one
Ours,
that's got the one of whatever is on the right bottom
Yes.
is the state auditors.
this is all the comments from the report on accounting methods that was done, and then we show columns of what we've received and things like that, and then what's cleared and what we're still monitoring, what we have is in process and not started. This is where we have the comments as of right now today. I did have a call with the safety service director yesterday. We went through several of these, not all of these, but we did definitely go over the ones that we have cleared, and then ones that he had questions on why they weren't cleared, and we went over those. We went over one of the policies and some tweaking of some of the language to make it better and more in line with what they do. And I know that he's working on that as well, and then that will be presented to us before it goes to council for approval. And then we will continue to work with the city, and we're looking to, on several of these, we didn't test yet. We're going to test in '22. We had tested in '21. And we need to test some of these again in '22. There were some issues at the testing in '21. So, and it's self-explanatory, I think, where things are.
Are we entertaining comments now?
Sure.
This is the first time I saw this document. Of course, there was a conversation held yesterday with the Auditor of State's Office and the Safety Service Director. That's the sheet that you are looking at right now.
Okay.
Which is from the Auditor of State's Office. I love it. This is what we should have been working on 6 months ago so that we could keep track a little bit more closely of it. When we had a meeting internally, and I'm talking City of Norwood staff only, not the Auditor of State's Office, we talked about doing just this, putting together something where we could track it more closely and understand the progression of it. And that's where the second one that you see, and we can actually probably discard the second one. This is the one that I made up this morning and was working on, because we went through as a group here internally and said, what's completed and what's not, what do we consider completed and what's not completed? And completed to us is, we've put the effort out, we've got an ordinance in place, we feel like the process is in place. I realize that the Auditor of State's Office doesn't recognize that as completed, because they have to test it, they have to go back and verify that it meets all the criteria. But for our level, we feel that's completed. So as we sat down, and this is Ken Miracle and myself and the Safety Service Director, and went through the big list, which is the original list that we were working off of. And I think this helps clarify when you say, okay, here's what we were working off of originally. 2 sheets this size with a bunch of stuff on there, who's in charge of what, and really not, it does define who and what department, or what department should be taking care of it, but it doesn't really define, okay, well, who's responsible? Whose feet do we hold to the fire to say, what's the timeline? Where are we at on this? And as the mayor, I don't have the ability to go to the treasurer's office or the auditor's office and say, you have to have this done. All I have is to work with them, and typically that we work pretty professionally together to get things done. The auditor's office was very, I would say, proactive in getting the things that were needed to be done completed. The treasurer's office has struggled, much like the administration has struggled on getting some of these things done. And I wanted a progress report. And I appreciate the fact that when we came in today, we have a progress report. We have information from the Auditor of State's office that clarifies where we stand on these, and it will help us guide and move forward. I'm sure there are some discrepancies on what I consider to be complete and what the city considers to be complete and what the Auditor of State's office considers to be complete, again, because of the testing and the certain criteria that they know of more about than we do. So, but this is, I really do appreciate this work and the effort with Noah and Anna Mary, working to get us to a point where we can look at this, and it's pretty concise. This is where we need to work on things. So this is, in my opinion, this is just moved us forward leaps and bounds just from a telephone call and then some time and effort putting together this thing. It's sort of what was my level of frustration, which I know you guys all sort of probably felt from the last meeting. It's like, are we making progress? Aren't we? Clearly, we can see here where we're making progress, and we can see a path forward that completes this. So thank you very much for putting that together, and it's well received by me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. It does, for me, it clarifies it as well. I knew that really, at the end of the day, it's up to the auditor's office to say, these have been addressed, cleared, we've monitored for a sufficient time, we're ready, But honestly, that's all that as a commission we usually get involved in, so that's sort of, yeah, I understand that most of the times when commissions get together and we have meetings, we look at the financials, and in a lot of cases, there are still, it takes folks a long time to be able to get out of the holes that they are in with their funds. So we concentrate so much on that to me is a commission, that's what I concentrate on. And the report on accounting methods is like, I wait until they tell me. But this is very good to see. I knew that there were a lot of comments to address, and you guys have really been doing a yeoman's job of working on these.
Appreciate that. I mean, it has been a big change over the last, what I consider to be over the last 2 years, of modernization of the city, of trying to put policies and procedures, of trying to get things on track so that the city can run much more like a business, as much as you can run a city, a municipality like a business, trying to run it with real, smart business sense, and clearly the Financial Recovery Commission and the Auditor of State's office has helped us considerably through this time. I do have a level of frustration at times also because we, the staff, the city staff, and the auditor's office and the treasurer's office, we're jumping through so many hoops. We've got council, we've got 7 bosses that sit on city council, and we've got to present everything to them, and there's all the extra meetings and all the extra time and effort you have to do there, and then working with the Financial Recovery Commission and within the confines of the plan, which, don't get me wrong, it's helped us immensely. I think that I'm ready, let's get beyond this. Let's get to the point where we are putting our efforts into the improvements of the city more than, it seems like, constant reports and efforts to satisfy our overseers, which is not all bad, but when you have multiple organizations you've got to constantly justify your actions to, it becomes burdensome at times, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example of the Public Works Commission grants, loans process. So you've already started, the city likely have already started on putting together a package for this round. The way the process rolls is not in any way compatible, PwC's process is not really in any way compatible to the way local government works, and it's certainly not compatible to the way we work as a commission. You've already started on the application, but you can't really come to the commission for approval because you don't know if you're going to get anything from the commission. So we can't say, and it could be that you just get grants, and that's great. You could maybe tell us that you've applied for X amount of dollars or projects, but we don't know yet if you're going to get those. And so if you don't get them, what does that mean? Are you going to look at still doing some of them, but on like spread over time? Or are you going to defer and try again through the process? So we don't know. So it's like there's this dollar amount out there that could be spent that we can't even say how much it is or if it will be. So it's an odd process. I know we had talked in terms of the recovery plan. I don't know if you wanted to speak in terms of, are we going to be on the normal March? How do we want to, when would we be looking at an update to the plan now? Have we given any thought to that?
That's usually the plan stays in effect for a year unless there is a reason to change it.
Okay, so,
So unless the city has, and I don't know that Anna Mary and I have been made aware of any reason why the plan needs changed at this point, then I would say, yes, it would be March.
Okay.
Unless, of course, they change it by the end of the year or something, and.
okay.
But
So,
they, I mean, because that plan, they have projected appropriations and estimated revenue, so they have the that's what they will use for their appropriations for 23.
okay,
Preferably only the first 3 months of '23, and then a new plan goes in place, and we
Yeah, but
we
you
work
have
from there.
you have the forecast, the appropriations, so you can say, these are appropriations for the whole year, and then when you change the recovery plan, then you can change the appropriations.
Right, understood. The concern has always been that it's not just that, boom, the Financial Recovery Commission does that and everything's changed and the next day we're on track. There's still lead times, lag times beyond when approvals are given before you can get things done. I think my concern that I brought up last time was that we want to stay on, we'd rather move that track back to March, but then, of course, you talk to the city auditor and he says, this is we're on the right path, let's keep going this route, but let's keep it in March. So, there's so many different aspects to this discussion. My concern is that we're not pushing it back even further like we did this time. And hopefully we won't. There were reasons why it got pushed back this time that were outside of control of the commission, clearly. But hopefully we can have all the right information. I think Ms. Longnecker, you talked about, we want to have the right information to approve this plan, and everything that we should be approving, we should be able to look at and clearly understand. And we didn't have that, quite frankly, so next time we should be in better shape.
so if I understand correctly, what we're saying is that the annual update that is required would be done in March, but the city can and likely will, because who knows what the environment's going to bring, may have to do updates to that. Maybe they've got more clarification on revenue, whatever. Just name anything. So they'll need to update that plan. But we'll still, regardless of, say in March, we update the plan, the annual update, but something happens, good, bad, indifferent, where it would necessitate a change come June. We're still back to March, but but because whatever effect has been realized by the city or will needs to be in that plan, they're going to want to update that.
Yeah, if they would update it in June of next year, then that becomes their annual plan. So then the next cycle, June would be when it was due, not March.
Okay.
Not the original.
But still, from a viewpoint of, because you've got projections of spending and revenue for 5 years in there, you can still go and spend on those estimated expenditures and revenues. So does anybody have anything else in new business, or, because I didn't want to,
I'm sorry, as I was writing that down,
Sure.
you said can spend on those estimated
Revenue.
amounts. Are they not, is the word allocated?
Your forecasted amounts, so estimated forecasted. So the column of 2023 in the FRP is what we'd be talking about for next year. So you can go into the new year with the appropriations in alignment with the 2023 column of the FRP minus prior year encumbrances, which I review before he brings it to council for approval. So that would include any projects that you have already deemed within your FRP that you're going to do in 2023. So if there's something outside of that scope, you would have to have the updated FRP to do that. That would be the only thing I would say. So,
Okay.
does that answer your question?
You still
I think
got
it provided clarification to a question that we were discussing earlier, so,
Okay.
okay, yes.
and again, that doesn't mean because we can't hold the council's feet to the fire. But if they pass a budget in '23 that has expenditures that's higher than what is in the current plan, then we've got to update that plan. So if they do that, they better do it by March, so those new expenditures can be included in the annual update.
Usually, we don't allow them to do an appropriation approval that is above the FRP, because we have
Okay.
to monitor that. So they have to wait until,
So they have to wait until after
so the plan
the
can be
plan?
there. Yeah, they have to have the plan done first before we'll
Before they
allow
do, okay.
the appropriations, because then they are out of compliance, budget-wise, to the FRP.
So given what I think I'm hearing is that it's customary, the city's always going to do a temporary budget for the first 3 months.
They can do the full
You
year.
can do it permanent.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were in the habit of doing a permanent or a temporary.
They can.
Because
They've been doing it before.
some entities are just in the habit of doing a temporary every time.
I want to say they did that 1 year, and then that becomes a problem because of setting up your purchase orders for the year. So then
Yeah.
you only have them on 3 months, those close out, and then you have to create all new for the last 9 months.
For those,
And I
yeah.
believe that you did that 1 year, and that was not fun for the city, because then it
So-
wasn't
I
fun.
can speak to that.
Okay.
Jim Stith, auditor for the city of Norwood. The difficulty in doing a temporary appropriations for the first 3 months of the year is many times you'll just look at 1/4 of the total projected annual expenditures and just appropriate 1/4 of it. However, that doesn't work because, as we know, many contracts and yearly agreements are due in January. And also, there might be certain special pays, like holiday buybacks, sick time buybacks, that are due in that first quarter. So simply taking 25% of your projected budget next year will not cover your expenses for that first quarter. So if you're getting into redesigning your entire budget and looking at what your realistic 3 months expenditures should be, you're better off just passing your entire 1 year appropriations as currently in the plan, minus any open purchase orders, your encumbrance orders, so we need to close those at the end of the year, and then use that as a temporary for the year until we get to March and pass the new FRP. So the budgets that are currently coming in now, the budget requests for next year, will not be available for those departments until after the first quarter, when we pass the new FRP and the new budget, and they're operating on what's in the FRP for that first quarter.
If it's higher. If they turn in one that is at the same amount that was projected or lower, they would be fine. So it would have to be over
Correct.
for that
And-
to have to.
And we are careful with, when we make those appropriations, watching if there is a department that budget is going to decrease, to not allow them to encumber more than the projected budget on the new FRP in that first quarter.
It's just another added layer of difficulty, I think, because I think the whole budget process for a city is not easy to begin with. And then when you add the FRP and the timing.
I will say the big difference between 22 and 23, they were in negotiations, and we got a lot of that settled in the first part of 22. So
Okay.
the FRP had to be updated to fulfill all of what the union negotiations had put in place after the start of the year. But for 23, that's not an issue because they have union contracts already in place with what should be going forward. We may have to update a few things from that. No, we shouldn't because we did it in June. So all the union contract changes from 22 should already be in 23. So that factor is out. That was a huge, that would be a disadvantage when we have the negotiation years in the union contracts.
Okay.
But for 23, we won't have that. So that should make 23 easier.
Okay. Okay, if there's no other discussion on that, Mayor?
Well, I think I probably had my fill already. I mean, the biggest part for me is of course that we continue to work diligently to take care of the business of the city. We've got, the auditor's office is working hard, the treasurer's office. I'm interested in the reconciliation because I feel like that still is our Achilles heel, is the reconciliation to getting out of a fiscal emergency. My understanding is that when we went into this, that there was not much that put us into a fiscal emergency. And we're very close to getting out of it, but I'm not sure how we, I guess, extricate ourselves from this without having a good reconciliation, without having the auditor's office and the treasurer's office collaborating and working very well to make sure that we stay on track. I think we got off track years ago. That's why it's taken a team of individuals from the auditor's office to get us back on track. But I think we're very close to that. And I know that we've made so much progress in the city through the administration and through all the different departments working to get policies and procedures and the standards in place that are necessary. So I still feel like we're so close. Just a few more hurdles and we're in good shape. And then, holding on to all the, you look at what the city did years ago, and there are some policies and procedures manuals from 1974. And then there was this huge lapse and lag of time, and the hard part is putting systems in place that are sustainable through, the ups and downs of our finances and the ups and downs of staffing and the higher qualified staffing or the less qualified staffing and the political climate that the city operates in. Being a statutory city makes it a challenge at times, but we're trying to put things in place that are sustainable through the next 10, 15 years. And I've spoken many times that our 5-year forecasting and planning, that's something that needs to be adopted, and we need to work with every year for whether the auditor state's office is in here, doing their annual reviews and audits, or whether they're actually working with us on a regular basis just to keep our operations going. We need to really take some of these tools to heart and keep them moving forward. So I don't have anything more than that.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Ah. Well, I do not know what you ladies have got all these deadlines and everything else. Can we squeak a meeting in December?
It would need to be the first 2 weeks,
Okay.
because then we get into holidays and all
Yes.
that, leave and all that stuff, so.
And the only reason, the only thing then that I would offer is a date in January. But at that point, it would have to be later in January, because if we meet in January, I would hope to see the whole year. So I don't know what would be more informative, quite frankly, for commission members.
The goal of the meeting is to go over, is there's reconciliation, hopefully at that point, and I asked this question, at that point, do we feel like reconciliation will be caught up
Oh, we'll be caught up.
in December? Second week of December, so
We'll be caught up by the end of the month.
so that would be finished, and then there's a lot of this report on accounting methods that's close also, that I feel like if we meet in the first 2 weeks of December, those would be the two big points to meet for, because we're not closing out the year, and then even if we met in January, the year's not, your office, the auditor's office doesn't close out until, so,
For closing out the year, I would say probably not the first 2 weeks.
No, we know that, yeah. She was saying later in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine we'd be closed out by the 15th, but that's balancing as the treasurer. We have to close the month and the year.
so Anna Mary, really my question, you provide all the financial, you're pulling all these financial documents and providing us with a good overview of where we are. Would you be ready? You're not going to be ready in December because we still have to close out the year,
Right.
but the second, third week of January, would that be a reasonable time for you to provide us with good information?
He won't be closed out
Till
until
15th.
the 15th, so I can't have it ready that week of the 16th, which is also a holiday week. So,
Oh, that is. I forgot.
So like Thursday, the 26th, towards the end of January?
that we could do as long as you guys got closed out by then. Which, if the reconciliation is up to date by then, and I know you have more staff, that's your call. I know August was closed out faster than the last couple of months, because I did get those reports, but not in time for this, so.
Yes, we've initiated policy and training to balance on a daily basis, and did that through the month of August. Therefore, we were able to close out within the first 6 business days.
Daily basis meaning every day?
Every day.
Is that normal for every other municipality?
We do have municipalities that do that, especially if they have large,
A lot of funds.
a lot of funds, a lot of movement through the day, so that they don't have all that to go through at the
At the
either
end.
weekly or even monthly basis. So,
Counties are required to do it every day.
yeah,
Can
that
I-
would be rough.
I want to
Yes.
interject something here. I would like to propose that Anna Mary and I send to Sharon, the commission chair, every month, an updated
Okay.
report on accounting
And I can
methods
send that
comment,
out.
So, and also a status of the reconciliation, the work where we're at, so that the commission, so Sharon can disperse that to the commission, so that you can see where things are at, a snapshot every month, even though we're not meeting.
And that would
that
keep us
permissible?
above, that would be permissible because we're not making any decisions, we're just reviewing.
That would be the only reason I would want to meet in December, would be to make sure that we continue and stay on track. So, if we look at that and say, well, let's meet in January, I think
I think January would be great, actually. This'll give everybody some space to be able to, if there's some things that need, like if you get a policy that needs maybe is missing something, you send it back. Maybe you'll get it back by that time in January, and that's another check off.
My other concern, and it might be a question for our safety service director, is do we have other grants, loans, things like that that are going to need to be approved by the Financial Recovery Commission between now and then? I would suspect we do, or we will.
Grants, we don't have to approve. In loans, we do. Loans and debt.
We have applied for several more loans through the Public Works Commission.
Okay.
So those would likely be coming up in the fall, although those projects wouldn't be kicking off until spring.
Would you be getting approval in the fall?
I suspect probably toward the end of the year we'll be getting the notice that we've been approved or not approved for those loans.
So really, it's just a heads up. Be prepared that something could come between now and
Okay.
January if we set that date.
Well, let
We're-
us
we're
know.
not sure.
Let me know if we need to do an emergency meeting.
Okay.
And then that way, we won't plan that we need to. Hopefully, it'll be all grants.
These are specific for loans.
They are
So
loans, okay.
if we're approved for them, there's going to be a loan portion of that.
Are these capital expenditures in your recovery plan now?
Yeah, they would be.
Okay, okay. So this is just instead of cash outlays, you'd be hoping to get the loans?
Correct.
Okay.
That reminds me, thank you. So we have also requested from the city auditor's office in conjunction with the safety service director that we would like a forecast of the permissive motor vehicle fund, which is Fund 2005, because it also pays for roads and has been discussed in some of these loans. It will not have to be approved by the commission, but because it could have impacts, if it can't hold up its end of paying for some of the stuff, then the other three funds we have in the FRP would potentially have to. So therefore, we've asked for a forecast of that fund to make sure that we're not causing issues with the ones that are in the FRP and make sure it can sustain what it's supposed to pay for. So I had forgotten about that. Thank you.
I did.
I haven't that I'm going to be pestering you, but I just needed to mention that as well.
Well, Wednesdays stink for me. Mayor's Court's on Monday, right? We had an issue with that last time. Tuesdays appear to be okay. Either Tuesday, January 31st. How does that sound?
Tuesdays are council meeting nights. I don't think there's a council meeting on the 31st, though.
Okay. 9 o'clock on the January 31st?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Longenecker moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Jarvis seconds. On a voice vote, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.